Coming up after the break, the baby found abandoned in Worcester in the sweltering heat. Medics want his mother to get in touch. Hello, this is ITV News Central. Tonight's main stories. Appeals to find the mother of a newborn abandoned on a front doorstep in Worcester.
Our priority is purely to locate mum so that we can check on her health and well-being.
Patrols are stepped up in Birmingham as more religious groups call for EDL and counter-protests to be banned.
End of the line, the sleek new station for HS2 when it speeds into Birmingham.
And a resting place fit for a king, the developing designs for Richard III's tomb.
Good evening. A day-old baby has been found abandoned on the doorstep of a house in Worcester. The boy, who's being looked after in hospital, was discovered in the early hours of this morning. Police are now appealing for the baby's mother to get in touch because she may need medical attention. Andy Bevan has our top story.
Joseph, as he's been named by hospital staff, has had a dramatic start to life. He's healthy and unharmed, but at present he doesn't have his mother to comfort him. He was left in a Hessian shopping bag on this doorstep at a house in Worcester about 4:30 this morning. The owner is a registered childminder, as is her daughter and son-in-law, whom she immediately phoned and asked to come over straight away.
She heard the doorbell ringing. I mean, it was not like it was like ring, 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 ring. It was a long kind of continuous ring. And then as soon as she saw movement, or whoever saw movement, they just bolted and like she opened the door, saw a baby there and was like, oh, well, what do I do?
She's saying it's been like a dream all day, that she's pretty sure she's just going to wake up and none of this will have happened.
The baby boy was taken to Worcestershire Royal Hospital, where staff say he's doing fine and weighs about 5.5 pounds. The search is now on to find Joseph's mother, who may require urgent attention. It's assumed she gave birth outside hospital and could need either medical or psychological support, or both.
It's important that she's seen by a midwife as soon as possible to get checked over. The number for her to call is 01905 760 663, and that telephone line will be manned by a midwife 24 hours over the next few days.
One theory is that the mother knew she was leaving her son with childminders, although the family here say they have no idea who she is.
We would suspect that someone will have some concerns about an individual who has been pregnant, who was due to give birth. We believe that the baby Joseph has been born at term. And we would urge those people that if they, have any information or this raises concerns further, to contact the police.
I'm a father of two. I have two little girls who are under 2. I'd say come back, look after your little boy. It's the best, it's the most rewarding thing in the world, and there is help out there.
Little Joseph wasn't wearing a nappy when he was found, but other than that he was clean and appears to have been well fed. Police are now hoping today's appeals, together with the pictures of her son, will persuade the baby's mother to come forward. Andy Bevan, ITV News, Worcester.
Detectives from the West Midlands Counter-Terrorism Unit are this evening questioning 2 men in connection with an explosion near a mosque in Walsall. Officers were called to Aisha Mosque in Rutter Street in Walsall last month after a device exploded in an alleyway near to the mosque. Well, this afternoon, 2 men aged 25 and 22 were arrested at a house in Talbot Way in Small Heath. Police say they're both of Eastern European origin.
Well, following that attack and another in Tipton, West Midlands Police had already increased patrols outside mosques and increased the length of officers' shifts.
They're also concerned, though, about an EDL rally planned in the centre of Birmingham this weekend. And as Callum Watkinson reports, concern about the event is far from limited to police headquarters.
The English Defence League on Saturday hopes to march thousands of their supporters along Broad Street to assemble in Centenary Square. But they're not the only group who will be gathering there that day.
There will be 2,000 predominantly black, predominantly young churchgoers gathered here for a religious summit at exactly the same time. Now, the EDL says its only quarrel is with Islamic fundamentalism, that it's not violent and not racist. But leaders in the black community here are not reassured by that.
The EDL do have issues with people of colour. So as far as I'm concerned, it doesn't matter if you're Muslim, if you're Sikh, if you're African Caribbean, there is an issue there. At an event like this, we have people coming to this city from Europe for the first time to attend this event, and you know, they're going to be seeing an EDL protest.
Meanwhile, West Midlands Police have increased their presence around the region's mosques and extended all shifts by 4 hours until further notice, an attempt to calm tensions following 4 recent incidents at mosques in the region. This is the backdrop against which the EDL will march into the heart of Birmingham on Saturday, a city in which 1 in 5 people is a practising Muslim. Local traders have been warned that opening up may not be worth their while.
Several police officers and that have been round talking to us the past few days. I wouldn't like to take my chances, to be honest. Obviously, I know there's going to be a lot of tensions, a lot of emotions flying around, so I think for the sake of what I can earn on a Saturday daytime, it's not worth me coming out, to be honest, to be surrounded by all that.
We did try to contact the EDL for comment. They insist they're not racist and not violent, but Birmingham city centre is holding its breath. Callum Watkinson, ITV News, Birmingham.
Well, we're joined in the studio now by Sharon Rowe, the Assistant Chief Constable of West Midlands Police. Sharon, thank you very much for coming in and talking to us. Let's deal with the EDL march in a moment or two. First, what more, if anything, can you tell us about those arrests made earlier on this afternoon?
Yeah, 2 Eastern European males in their 20s arrested this afternoon around about 3 o'clock in Small Heath, spotted by uniformed officers. We'd put in place a massive operation yesterday around protecting the mosques. I've increased patrols, 12-hour shifts in place, and this afternoon a really good piece of local work by local Bobby.
We'll move on now to the weekend, to Saturday's march. It's a planned EDL march. Obviously, everyone has the right to protest, but given the heightened tensions at the moment, is there not an argument for postponing that?
Well, we have no legislation to ban a march, and we haven't got a march this Saturday. We've got a static protest. What we can do is put restrictions on the location, the timing and the numbers, and we've done that for both the EDL, who are going to St Henry Square, but also for a counter-protest that we've been notified at Chamberlain Square.
But we heard in that piece there, and of course we've all seen over the last few weeks, a heightened nervousness, shall we say, about events that have gone on.
That's right.
Was there not a way that you could have postponed it?
Not at all. There's no legislation to enable me to do that. We've been working with the EDL, the event organisers. We think we've got a really good plan in place. I've got over 1,000 police officers on duty. Everyone is welcome in the city centre on Saturday. Birmingham is open for business for peaceful protest. Anyone who comes to the streets on Saturday intent on violence, I have enough officers on duty, you will be arrested.
So you can reassure all members of the community that they are safe and you will keep them safe?
I've got over 1,000 officers on duty.
How much is
carry on.
How much is all that costing though?
Well, I don't know at the moment. I've got someone obviously who's going to cost that for me, and until we finish the operation on Saturday, it wouldn't be right to comment on that.
How would you assess the state of, how would we describe it, public unity at the moment in the West Midlands? We've heard, incident after incident. There's a lot of tension. There's a lot of nervousness out there, as we've already discussed. How would you take the temperature at the moment?
Well, if I look at the incident, the terrorist attack at Tipton Mosque, and also what's happened with the terrorist incident at Walsall Mosque, we'd like to thank the local community who've really worked hard with us, with our local neighbourhood officers. In relation to Birmingham, there is tension for Saturday. I've met many mosque leaders this week, members of the black churches. I'm very aware that there is nervousness, and we've been reassuring them that we've really got a strong policing plan in place.
OK, Sharon Rowe from the West Midlands Police, thank you very much for coming in and talking to us this evening.
Thank you.
Police have named a man who died after getting into difficulties on the Shropshire-North Wales border. 21-year-old Anthony James Lawrence from Oswestry was pulled from the water at an isolated spot near Chirk on Tuesday evening. West Mercia Police is investigating, but officers have renewed their warnings not to swim or cool off in open water. 4 people have died in the Force area in the past 2 weeks. The funeral of one of them, Russell O'Neill, took place in Worcester. He's one of 2 people who died while at Skellet Quarry near Malvern.
A murder investigation has been started after the bodies of a couple were found at a house in Rowley Regis in the Black Country. Officers forced their way into the property yesterday after concerns were raised about the people living there. They found a 55-year-old woman with head injuries and a 52-year-old man with neck and wrist injuries. Police say they're not looking for anyone else in connection with the deaths.
The family of a 15-year-old boy who was stabbed to death in a Birmingham park have paid tribute to him. Hassan Mahmood was attacked in Oaklands Park in South Yardley on Monday. He died from a single stab wound to the back. Officers believe there was a fight between two groups of young people. His family says they've suffered the worst loss imaginable.
Derby-based train maker Bombardier has won a £180 million contract to supply electric trains. The Southern Train Company says it chose Bombardier to supply 116 electric rolling stock vehicles, with the provision of 144 more if further investment opportunities are identified. That could bring the potential order value to around £385 million. It comes after Bombardier controversially lost out to German-based Siemens to supply other trains for the Thameslink project.
The company has been, I think, personally, very, very good. They brought in work from elsewhere in the company and so on to keep the Derby plant, particularly to keep the design and the skills in the Derby plant. But this actually fills a potential gap and takes us on. Now, of course, Crossrail's still all to play for and still a very big competition, but it's really good news. Good for the city, good for Bombardier.
A man accused of killing 4 members of the same family in Northampton has appeared in court. Ang Zhang Du from Coventry is accused of murdering university lecturer Jifeng Ding, his wife and 2 daughters in May 2011. The judge at today's plea and direction hearing set the next court date for October to allow more time for reports to be produced.
Now, a design of a raised tomb as the final resting place for King Richard III has gone on display. Leicester Cathedral said it had listened carefully to views on what shape the tomb should be, and it said they were keen that visitors could fully appreciate the last of England's Yorkist kings. A final design for the tomb won't be ready until September, and it will need approval from the Cathedral's Fabric Commission for England by November.
Well, the Plantagenet Alliance, a group of Richard's relatives, might also have a say in the matter. They've applied to the High Court for a judicial review into the City Cathedral's licence as the final resting place for the King's bones. The cathedral is hoping the remains will be reinterred during a ceremony in May of next year.
We've listened carefully to the community, to the Richard III Society, and also we've interrogated the idea of what a tomb is. And I needed to be convinced theologically, historically, philosophically that it was the right thing to do. So now we have a tomb and a ledger stone, so it's win-win all round.
Well, we're really pleased that we have ended up with a tomb for Richard. We've come a long way since the cathedral wanted a ledger stone and the Richard III Society wanted a tomb. And now things have moved on and we're going to have a tomb. So we're really pleased about that. I think the design of the tomb probably still needs a bit more work before it's fit for a king, but I'm really delighted with the white rose on the floor that the tomb is going to stand on. So overall, yes, we're very pleased.
Plenty more to come on that, and you can find more news for the Midlands on our website, of course. Go to itv.com and you'll find information there on the upcoming closures of the road tunnels in Birmingham. We're all dreading it, and we'll have a special look at what the 6 weeks of work will mean for the city and commuters. That'll be on tomorrow's programme.
6 weeks. That is slightly depressing. Still loads to come on the
6 weeks
programme.
on the train, maybe?
Maybe, possibly, or walking. Who knows? All the cricket news coming up. A bad day for England, or a mixed day, shall we say, but a really good day for Warwickshire's Ian Bell. We'll talk you through that in a second or two. Also, a first look at the new HS2 hub for Birmingham.
Plus, the home of the Redcoats gets a major revamp.
And in the weather, hottest day of the year so far yesterday across the whole of the country, but is the outlook for the Midlands as bright as this picture? I'll have all the details a little bit later.
Now, with temperatures soaring across the region, the Met Office has raised the heatwave alert in the West Midlands to level 3, triggering an amber health alert. The alert requires social and health workers to focus on the very young, the very old and the vulnerable.
It comes as temperatures reached 30 degrees. That's 2 degrees higher than the seasonal average, with forecasters saying there is no sign of temperatures dropping significantly in the coming days.
Well, the hot weather has resulted in an increase in demand for water, and as Ken Goodwin reports, it's resulted in water pressure dropping in some parts of the region.
As the temperature rises, we use more water, not just for ourselves, for the garden too. But some of us may be overdoing it. Sprinklers being left on overnight are being blamed for lowering water pressure in the mornings when people go to take a bath or shower.
So, is there a water shortage? Well, Severn Trent say there isn't. They say there's enough water in the River Severn. All they're asking is that we be sensible.
Unfortunately, what we're seeing at the moment is people using sprinklers and hose pipes and leaving them on overnight, which is meaning that the system's not filling up as much as we would like, meaning that you might have less pressure in your shower in the morning.
They might say, well, look, I've paid for this water, why can't I leave the sprinkler on?
We're more than happy for people to use a sprinkler to water the garden with, but please just do it for an hour. The best time to do it is when you get home from work, 6, 7 o'clock at night, so the water's not going to evaporate, it's going to get to your plants. But a sprinkler will use 1,000 litres of water in an hour. That's more than a family of 4 would use in an entire day, so I think that's plenty enough to keep the garden looking good.
People we spoke to said leaving a sprinkler on all night in the garden is madness.
Well, they're not very wise, are they? Especially if they're on a meter.
I never water my lawn. It always recovers, however dry it's been.
So presumably it's looking a bit brown at the moment.
Just a little bit.
Shouldn't use sprinklers at all. You all right? Use the hose for a little while, then turn it off.
Well, yeah, I've got rubbish water pressure anyway, full stop. So we don't even get hot water out of our shower.
I think they shouldn't be allowed to do it. It should be a ban on it.
I think being an American, that is disgraceful.
Severn Trent says they're not even considering a hosepipe ban, just asking people to use their common sense.
It's been proper hot though, isn't it? I know you shouldn't complain.
I'm not complaining.
No?
I love it.
It's too hot for me. Things you shouldn't say, it's too hot for me. Now moving on, Birmingham and Leicester are set to play a key role in one of the largest ever global studies into lung cancer. Cancer Research UK has announced it will invest £14 million into research into how the disease mutates and can be better targeted.
Well, 2 of the 6 centres involved in the project are in the Midlands, with experts recruiting patients from the region to take part. Sally Lockwood reports.
Lynn Robertson's lung cancer symptoms began in 2009 with a persistent cough, but as a non-smoker she was not diagnosed for another 2 years. As her tumours change over time, her treatments stop working. She says this new study gives people like her hope.
It was actually diagnosed at a late stage and I was literally given about 6 months to live. I couldn't believe it. If they can tailor-make treatments individually, then I think it gives us all hope, because they will then start working on the drugs to treat these individual mutations. So it's absolutely hopeful that they can start treating it as a chronic illness rather than it being a death sentence that it currently is.
Lung cancer kills more people than any other type of cancer. The universities of Leicester and Birmingham are to play a key role in this pioneering research, one of the world's largest into lung cancer.
What this study is aiming to do is to identify genes which may be useful targets for drug-based therapy, and in so doing allow us to see how those genes change over time and hopefully apply better treatment for patients in the region, but also beyond within the rest of the UK.
Thousands of people across the Midlands are affected by lung cancer, with more than 6,000 diagnosed and more than 5,000 dying from the disease each year. It's thought of as a smoker's illness, but medical experts in the region say they're seeing a significant increase in patients who've never smoked before.
Professor Gary Middleton is the oncologist leading the study from Birmingham's Cancer Research Centre.
We're seeing lots and lots of people that have never smoked now with this disease. In some areas this is up to sort of 25% of the patients. There's already work that looks at the difference in the genetics of non-smoking, smoking-related lung cancer, but there's no work that looks at this in terms of across the entire tumour, the primary tumour, and also the differences between the primary and secondary, and that's what will make this particularly unique.
Lynn was given 6 months to live 2 years ago, but she's determined she'll beat lung cancer, and today's announcement an added hope that she and many others will go on to do just that. Sally Lockwood, ITV News.
The company behind HS2 says it will start building academies to help people to get jobs on the rail project. They say there could be more than 50,000 jobs available.
Well, today the board of HS2 met outside London for the first time in Birmingham, and the leader of the City Council says he's setting up special task forces to make sure as many jobs as possible come to this part of the Midlands. Our business correspondent Mark Goff reports.
They are the people who've been tasked by the government to make high-speed rail a reality. And they came to where HS2 would stop in Birmingham, near the site of the old Curzon Street station. This is what HS2 say the new station will look like. These people are the board of HS2 Limited, a company set up by the government to build a line. They met in Birmingham today, the first time they've met outside London, and the choice of Birmingham is significant. As well as Curzon Street, the West Midlands would get a second station to dovetail with Birmingham Airport. And they came with the promise of thousands of jobs. 22,000 initially, 50,000 when the line is built between London and Birmingham, more when the line splits in two through the East Midlands to Leeds and from Birmingham to Manchester. A promise too that HS2 would train people in the Midlands to get jobs on the project.
It will provide a huge opportunity for skills, especially in Birmingham, as Birmingham is the heart of the high-speed network, will be and forevermore once it's built. Hence we will have our own training schools and academies based in Birmingham as well.
Birmingham City Council said today that it's setting up task forces to make sure that if there are jobs going, they come to people in the West Midlands.
Oh, we think there are tens of thousands of jobs that will come as a consequence of HS2, and they will start coming in fairly quickly. We're not talking about jobs which won't emerge until 2026, which is when HS2 opens up. We think those jobs are going to come on stream gradually over the next 10 years or so.
Opponents say HS2 will destroy large parts of the Midlands, won't deliver the economic benefits promised, and will end up costing much more than the current estimates. The plan needs royal assent. The HS2 bill will go before Parliament in November. The decision may not come in this Parliament. There'll undoubtedly be many objections, but for now, HS2 is a plan which the people behind it believe is gaining momentum. Mark Goff, ITV News, Birmingham.
Well, the ITV News continues with the national and international stories at 6:30. Let's have a look at what's happening with Alistair Stewart.
The Christmas Eve killing of a church organist and the remarkable reaction of his loving widow. A man's been convicted of Ian Greaves' manslaughter, another admitted murder. But his widow Maureen speaks to us of forgiveness. Fires break out as severe health warnings about the summer heatwave spread across the country.
Happy birthday to you.
And a birthday rally for Nelson Mandela, still in hospital, but still in a nation's heart. Join Julie Etchingham and me at 6:30.
In a moment, we'll be finding out why the Redcoats have got a revamp.
Yes, firstly, let's take a look at the sport tonight, shall we? Warwickshire batsman Jonathan Trott and Ian Bell went some way towards digging England out of trouble on day one of the second Ashes test at Lords today. After slumping to 28 for 3 against Australia, Trott steadied the ship on his way to a half-century. It didn't last much longer though, caught in the deep by Usman Khawaja for 58 off the bowling of Ryan Harris. Ian Bell, though, who scored a century at Trent Bridge last week, went on to score another one today. He was eventually caught off the bowling of Smith for 109. A few moments ago, England were 279 for 6. I ought to say that Ian Bell has joined a very select group of England batsmen. He's only the 4th England batsman to score 3 back-to-back consecutive Ashes hundreds.
That is, Matt
isn't
has
it?
Been so excited all
Herbert
afternoon.
Sutcliffe, Jack Hobbs, Chris Broad.
He's been checking it along.
Ian Bell, end of.
Now, 5-time Olympic gold medalist Sir Steve Redgrave has spent the day with hundreds of school children in Stoke-on-Trent. The rowing star joined more than 400 pupils at the Packmore Community School. It's to encourage more youngsters into taking up less conventional ways to exercise.
We introduce things like free running, jump rope, street cheer,
dodgeball, all things that are very much engaging, especially street cheer with elder girls, is that music and dance is very much part of it, and they can express themselves in that, and they're being active while they're doing it. So it's about getting people more and more active, more and more skill-based as they go through the education system.
That looked a lot of fun. Now, a piece of Leicester history is playing its part in a new stage production of Sweeney Todd.
Yes, compositions from the beautiful grand organ at De Montfort Hall have been recorded to form part of the soundtrack to the Curb's new community version of the Stephen Sondheim favourites. Sweeney Todd will play at the Curve at the end of the month for 2 weeks.
There are 6 pieces in the show that are for organ solos. So we came to the grandest and the best organ in the county, De Montfort Hall, to record them. The first piece is the whole opening of the show, the prologue, and it's a big, huge piece for organ that needs to be incredibly loud. That's why we came here, because this organ is the loudest we know of.
One of our region's newest attractions has just got bigger. Butlins in Skegness now has a new £16 million water park, including several slides and pools.
Yes, the resort's investment has also created dozens of new jobs for the town, as our reporter James Webster has been finding out.
The sun's out, the schools are breaking up, and this holiday park's now got somewhere new for visitors to cool off. This is £16 million of water park. 3 slides, a wave pool, rapids and places for children to splash. New lifeguards make up some of the 100 extra staff the park's taken on.
Well, I was living down in London. I was a carpenter and a glazer before I came here. Moved up to Skegness, and then I saw this job opening, and I thought, well, I like helping people, so I'll go for it.
I love it. It's so much fun. Even when they come down the slides, if you're at the bottom, just the facial expressions, it looks really good.
When Billy Butlin opened his first park in 1936, things all looked very different.
Fun in the sun and water.
Since then, its swimming pools have been updated several times. Britain's Got Talent winners Spellbound helped open the new centre.
It's great because it is a long project, and it's almost like having a baby waiting for it to come to fruition, and obviously there's a few headaches during the way, but now when you walk in there and just see the families and the smile on the children's faces, it makes it all worthwhile.
400,000 people visit here each year. The Offords are regulars.
We were here in 2010, so we've seen the changes with all the new slides and what have you, and we've really enjoyed it.
And I quite often go in and read a book and sit and have a coffee while they do all their fun, but just the smile on Lachlan's face, he absolutely loved it.
I'd probably give it a 10 out of 10.
Bosses hope this new centre will be a year-round attraction, helping them employ more people out of the traditional tourist season and bringing more money to the town as a whole. James Webster, ITV News, Skegness.
Right, let's see how the weather forecast is shaping up. Here's Emma Jessen.
I can't wait to get some sunshine.
Me too. I'm sick of all these showers.
Hello there, I'm totally blown away by your pictures at the moment. Very difficult to choose which ones to show. Isn't this glorious though? Do you know all these petals are just dried and used as natural confetti? I really enjoyed looking at the selection of photos that you sent there. And also, thank you Rachel. I did tell myself I wasn't going to show too many animal ones, but this is great and a good old tip there as well. Don't forget to let your four-legged friends use your paddling pool. And if you do happen to come across an overheated pet, then cool their head down first. Get the brain cool. That's a top tip for recovery. Now, over the next few days, we do run the risk of the 90% risk of catching a heat wave there. All the details of our heat health watch on the Met Office website. We're currently at level 3, which is take action and be aware. The high pressure, which is over us at the moment, slowly moving northwards over the next few days to bring about a change in wind direction and cloud blowing in from the east over the weekend. So temperatures should moderate a little bit by that time. It's going to be a warm one this evening and also overnight with more sun tomorrow. Here's your pollen.
Flybe, sponsors of ITV Central Weather.
suffering from hay fever? ITV Pollen Count is sponsored by Benadryl.
So look at the sun, cloud and temperatures over the next few days. It's great if you like sun, not so if you don't. And grass pollen counts will be high over the next few days with a touch of nettle, dock and mugwort as well.
Well, it's still hot and I'm still happy. I'm afraid.
Hot. Did I mention it's too hot?
Misery.
Anyway, that's all we've got time for tonight. I'm back with the late news later. Until then, from all the team here, have a good night. Goodbye for now.
Bye-bye.